And this time I'd like to call the BPU meeting of November 5th, 2025 to order. We'd like to welcome all listening or viewing this meeting of the Kansas City, Kansas Board of Public Utilities, whether in person or through technology. This meeting is being recorded, both video and audio. During the public comment section of the agenda, community members who wish to speak to the board will be asked to provide their name and address and will then have 5 minutes to speak. Members of the public using Zoom that wish to address the board need to use the raised hand feature at the bottom of the application or window to signal they wish to address the board during the visitor comment section. Members of the public connected by phone only need to press *9 to indicate they wish to address the board in the visitors comment section. Those attending in person should sign up on a sign-up sheet located to the right of the entry to the boardroom. If you wish to speak with customer care regarding your account, please indicate that on the sign-in sheet. Comments are limited to 5 minutes and should be directed to the board. As these comments are public, the board cautions visitors to not disclose confidential account information or information on an account that is not in their name. Staff will not provide individual account information or history in an open meeting. As always, the public may also call the BPU with any concerns or email. The agenda and presentations may be found on the BPU website, or if you're using Zoom, they will appear on your screen. As a reminder, this is a business meeting of the Board of Directors, and we will conduct the meeting accordingly. The following rules apply to this meeting. Every person in the room will act respectfully towards each other. Personal attacks and accusations toward individuals will not be tolerated. State your specific issue to the board only. We will then determine staff's involvement. Attendees shall refrain from side discussion or individual commentary that interferes with the speaker or with attendees at this meeting. If side discussion is necessary, please take it outside the boardroom. If any of the rules above are breached during the meeting, the individual is subject to removal from the boardroom. My name is Tom Groneman, 2nd District and Board President. Other members of the board and staff include Jeremy Ash, General Manager, David Haley, Member at Large, Position 2, Stevie Wakes Sr., 1st District, Brett Parker, 3rd District and Board Secretary, Mary Gonzalez, Member at Large, Position number 1, Rose Mulvaney Henry, Member at Large, Position number 3 and Board Vice President, Wendy Green, Deputy Chief Counsel. Please remember to put your phones on silent. Please also be aware that the microphones are very sensitive and can pick up and record comments made anywhere in the room. Before we begin our meeting, please rise and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Parker,
Here.
Gonzalez. Here. Groneman,
Here.
Haley,
Present.
Wakes,
Here.
Mulvaney Henry.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Before I ask for a motion to approve the regular session agenda of November 5th, 2025, are there any additions, deletions, or anything that anybody wants to discuss about the agenda?
This is David. I move we accept the agenda.
Okay, hearing none, then we have a motion to accept the agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
A second. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez. Aye. Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes.
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Before I ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda of November 5th, 2025, are there any comments on the consent agenda?
This is Mary Gonzalez, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Roll call, please.
Roll call. Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley.
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
That motion carries.
This time I'm going to turn the meeting over to Jeremy Ash, our general manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. Couple items on the report list tonight, and first we'll start off with the third quarter financials. I believe Andrew Ferris is here, and he's brought a member of his team here to deliver the news.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Andrew Ferris, Chief Financial Officer. I did bring today Christy Tanner. She is the Manager of Accounting for our department. And so she is really responsible for really the nuts and bolts of all the financials you see monthly, quarterly, annually. She runs the accounts receivable, accounts payable department. So she's responsible for a lot of the activities we see in accounting today. And so I wanted to get her in front of you guys, and she's really the brains behind the operation, a lot of instances anyway. So I'll let her report to you what we're seeing in the third quarter and how we go from there. So let us know if we have any questions. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Andrew. Hello, board. So today we're gonna kind of look at the third quarter and year-to-date outlook. These are numbers as of September 30th. So slide 2 here, we're looking at our billed electric usage for year-to-date January through September. So you can see that we're down about 0.5%, so relatively flat, which is good. Notable, we're up 7% residential and up in commercial 2%. However, we are down about 14% in financial or in industrial, sorry. A lot of this is due to 3 of our bigger companies that usage has been down. General Motors, I'm sure many of you are aware, is retooling, that's down about 32%. And then Griffin Wheel and Certainty are also down substantially. So next slide, please. So this slide shows our water usage through year-to-date September. It's down a little bit more, it's down 3.6%. Same as before, residential and commercial are up just slightly, and industrial is down 15%. This correlates to electric being down, where we have those 3 of our bigger customers being down as well. Next slide. Okay, this slide shows our third quarter comparison. So the first piece there, you can see our third quarter 2025 as compared to 2024. Our revenues are down slightly at almost 3%. However, if you look to the right there, you can see compared to what we budgeted, we're actually up. So we brought in more revenue than what we projected. So we're up about 8.5% there. Next slide. So this shows our revenues year to date, where the last one would have just been for the quarter. We're up 2%, which compared to prior year, which I'd say is right on target. And then up again on the budgeted 8%, very close to the quarter. You can see down at the bottom of the slide, your year to date, comparing your budget to actual. So a couple notables I would look at there on the electric side, wholesale's up about 11.7 million, and as well as commercial being up 5.7 million. You will see industrials in the red there, it's down about 4.6. Once again, you'll kind of see it continues. That's tied to some of our larger customers, production being down, and so then we're not billing them as much. Next slide. Okay, these are our operating expenses for the third quarter comparison. So our expenses are up in the third quarter about 15%. However, we are under what was budgeted. So we did plan for and budget a lot of this. I know in the third quarter, there was some combustion turbine maintenance that hit on CT4. And so that's a lot of the production that was up in this quarter. But once again, that was all budgeted and planned for. So. Okay, this shows your year-to-date operating expenses. Expenses are up about 8% compared to prior year, but you can see we're down, if you look on the right, down only 0.5%. So we're relatively flat compared to what we planned for and budgeted for this year. If you look at the bottom, you can see your variances on budget to actual and total on the electric side. They're really close. you'll note that fuel and production, fuel's up 14.3 million. Our plants have been running more, so we're producing more, so we're not having to go out and purchase power on the market. So usually when one goes up, one goes down. So, okay, next slide. This slide shows our change in net position. Some people refer to it as net income or loss. For the quarter, we're at a positive or net income of 28 million. Something I think that's important to note here is that your capital expenses are not included here. So some people will look at this and think, oh, we have 28 million extra cash, but that is not the case because you really need to take into account those capital expenses that aren't seen on your income statement. So next slide. This is just showing the same thing year to date. We're sitting at about 49.5 million as of 2025. We're slightly down from last year. That's due to increasing expenses compared to last year. Same deal here though, where your capital expenses are not included in this number. So, okay, next slide. This slide shows, this would be your average daily collections that we receive from customer payments. So, and it would be per business day. So you can see we received about 2.5 million per day in September. The September numbers are always higher because your July and August usage or what has been billed to customers is typically paid late August into September. So your September's numbers are always going to be up, and you'll see how they start trailing back down in the coming months. So okay, this slide shows your historical cash comparison. So, so for September of 25, we actually increased our cash from the end of month August by 10 million. This kind of ties along with how much money you bring in. Usually we kind of peak in September as well. Something to note is on the far right there, those are your year-to-date numbers. So you can see we have usually flipped by this time in the last 2 years. There's years prior to that where we haven't, but in this year we are still down year to date, about 4.5 million. So, okay, this slide shows our cash position. A lot of people are interested in what our days cash on hand is. So if you look at the top numbers there on the combined, that's kind of showing our combined cash. So for 25 and 24, we're relatively flat, right? 73.5 million, 74 million. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to say, well, why did our days cash on hand go down? Because we went from 124 to 113. So a big part of this calculation is your 12-month rolling expenses. So our 12-month rolling expenses in September of this year are about $20 million higher than they were at the same time last year. So that's where that difference is going to come from. And then your fuel or inventory, just a note there, it's at almost 11.2 million where you were at 8.8 last year. Okay. So this, that day's cash on hand number that was on the prior slide, this is just showing if you want to go back 3 years. So we aim for 120, which is your green line there. We're currently sitting at 113, and your red line is just showing your 3-year average. So you can see back in 2022, we were quite low. We've been working on improving that. So hopefully that red average continues trending up till it gets that 120. So next slide. Capital spending combined, we're at about 43 million. To me, we're right on target because we have 24% of what we budgeted remaining. I do think we've done a much better job this year at managing that. We didn't. Last year, we had quite a bit more remaining at this time, but we have 24% left, about a quarter of the year to go. So, and you can see all the major projects. I think those have been on all the prior presentations, so I'll go through those. And then lastly, our debt coverage. So debt coverage is your ability to cover your debt service obligation with your net income. So our targets are, we want it to be at 2 times with pilot. So we're at 2.8. We greatly exceed that target. You can see we are slightly down from this year. This is where that 12-month operating expenses rolls forward again. We're down 20 million. So then your debt coverage is going to be down. And then without pilot, we're shooting for 1.6. We're still at a combined 2.09. So we're sitting in a good place on debt coverage. So that's all I have.
Thank you, Christie. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we have, Steve Green's team here, and looks like Philip, and some folks are probably gonna co-op the thing, so, Water's been doing a lot of work this year, have a lot of work ongoing, and, so it's a good time for Philip and his team to come in and talk about, a bit about what they've been doing, and also, recently, a couple weeks ago, Philip was, promoted to Director of Engineering at the Water Department. We had notice of the other director or the successor's retirement a few months ago. And so Steve and the team revamped the job description, went through with HR's help, went through a process of backfilling that role, and Philip was the successful candidate. So I know he'll do well. Been here a long time, really bright guy, knows a lot of people, a lot of things. So good luck to you, Philip. I know you do well.
Thank you, sir. And then also thank you, Steve. As you said, my name is Philip Brown, Director of Civil Engineering. I'm here with our team. We're going to talk about a few key water initiatives that we have going on. I'm going to be before you really short. I'm just really excited about this because these projects have been going on for a long time, and now we're finally getting them, some of them complete. So with that, I'm done. And if you have any questions, we'll answer them at the end. All right, to start us off, my name is Aaron Moore, project engineer in the Water Division. So our projects, they originate from a couple different sources. Within that, we have to coordinate with a lot of different agencies within the area. That would be UG Road Department. We try to make sure that we coordinate with them if they're doing a mill and overlay in specific areas. We also look at if there's a need for any main replacements in those areas. We also coordinate with KDOT. If there's any type of highway improvements, we need to ensure that mains are properly relocated or that adjustments are made within their projects. We also coordinate with the Army Corps of Engineers as they're doing work. There's also need for water main relocations, and we also evaluate the need for improvements, as well as our general upkeep within our capital improvements that we try to make. So this is what's shown on screen is an overview of the past projects that we've done over the year within those different needs that have come up. We cut it down to projects that exceed over 500 feet, which would be which we would more likely designate as our major projects. So as you can see, we've done a ton of different replacements as well as additions to our water system. In total, we've added 34,000 feet, which equates to about 6.5 miles. Next, we're going to cover a couple of our PVC main replacements and talk about how we move forward with those projects. But first, covering benchmarking. So year after year, we collect data as a water operations department, as well as working with the other departments within the utility to collect this data. This data is important because we submit it to the American Water Works Association. That organization compiles that data and submits an annual report. What that annual report does for us is enables us to evaluate how the utility sits within other utilities the same size as us, as well as the region and other utilities in the nation. So we are able to pick out KPIs or key performance indicators within that benchmarking survey, and we're able to compare it to our current standings. So as the utility continues to develop our mission statement and our goals, and as those start to matriculate down to the department and we start to align those goals, we'll start picking out more KPIs and evaluating as to whether certain things need to be looked at an annual, monthly, weekly, daily basis and start building in dashboards to be able to keep track of what's really important. So right now, we're still in the phase of making sure that our data is accurate year over year, and then next, evaluating what are the most important KPIs to look at. So for now, though, covering a couple, we're not going to talk about where we stand in the entire survey, but we will talk about a couple of the key things that really show the hard work that we've been doing in water operations. First number to look at is the water distribution and system integrity total. This is the number of leaks and breaks that have occurred in our mains per 100 miles of pipe. You can see that these numbers have held steady over the years. We did have an uptick in 2022, but then dropped down the year after that and maintained where we fell close to in the years prior. Our total O&M cost per account and per million gallons that we distribute has increased year over year, but that's expected to trend with economic conditions. What's really important to note here is that our infrastructure leak index, which is a calculation of a number of factors within our water system, has trended down year over year. That's important because in our goals for water operations, we have a goal to hit 3, have an ILI or infrastructure leak index of 3. And so we're pretty close to hitting that goal.
Good evening. So my name is Brandon Sisk. I'm also a project engineer in the water department. So I'm gonna go over a few of the larger scale projects that we completed in 2024 and then, or 2024 and 2025, and then also some active larger projects that we have going on. So the first one is the 12th Street River Crossing. So for this, we took and bored in a new 30-inch high density polyethylene or HDPE water main. The design and spec for this was completed in tandem between BPU and Burns and McDonnell. We started this, the project was bid in May of 2024, and we reached completion in May of 2025. This was, the total cost of the project was around $7.7 million. This was a KDHE loan project. So through the SRF loan funding, that's how this project was paid. We installed approximately 1,600 linear feet of pipe for this project, and 200, that was through the directional drill process, and then 200 linear feet was put in by open cut on each end as we made the connections on the north and south side of the river. We replaced 3 24-inch butterfly valves and 1 20-inch butterfly valve through this project. For the pictures here, as you can see, the top picture there is just an overall looking from south to north. That's showing on the south side coming up the hill, and where you can kind of see the snow there, you can see the larger diameter water main strung out across coming to the south there. Starting from left to right, the first picture is a picture of the boring machine that was used to install the water main. The second picture is a picture showing the pull head. So when that bore machine is installing the pipe, there's rods that are put on as it goes. They drill a pilot hole under the river. They pull back multiple ream passes to make a big enough hole to fit the water main to pull it back through. And what you can see in that second picture is the actual pull head that's at the end, the last rod on that machine that is welded. It's if you think of the plastic melted together, it melts on the end of there. That pull head then pulls that larger diameter pipe back through the hole that was drilled from north to south. The third picture there is kind of looks up from the top. So that's another picture from the, we call it the receiving pit, where it's pulling that pipe in. The fourth picture there is a picture looking from the top of the hill in the 12th Street right away where that pipe was strung out. And then the last picture shows a right-of-way area that was cleared going back, because like I said, we pulled back 1,600 feet of pipe, so you had to make a lot of room to string all that pipe together to be able to pull that in. The next project is the Argentine 7 million gallon reservoir project. So for this project, we took and replaced an existing 12 million gallon reservoir that was over 100 years old. The project was worked in tandem. The design and spec were put together by Black and Veatch and BPU's engineering department. We started this project in 2022, 2023. Last time I presented here at the board, you guys remember we had a lot of different concrete problems we ran into. We had a lot of issues with some fly ash shortages. We had issues with cement type changes. We had a lot of hurdles to jump over to finish this project. And so this is one we're pretty proud of getting completed. The project was a total of $15 million to complete. This was also another KDHE loan project. Throughout the project, like I said, we demoed the existing 12 million gallon reservoir and then installed a new 7 million gallon reservoir. We also worked to perform some upgrades to the existing 4 million gallon reservoir that's on site there at Argentine. For that, we installed a new fabric baffle wall and a dedicated outlet pipe for that 4 million gallon reservoir. Prior to it had a single pipe that worked as the inlet and outlet on that 4 million gallon. We installed new yard piping where it was needed. We replaced 6 existing butterfly valves, and then we also installed 3 new butterfly valves that were needed for new inlet valves and new outlet valves on those pipes that were installed for that. As you can see in these pictures, the top picture is a picture of the new 7 million gallon reservoir and its completion. The first picture on the left there is a picture of the demolition of the 12 million gallon reservoir. The next picture is a picture showing that fabric baffle wall that I mentioned that was installed inside the 4 million gallon reservoir. For that 4 million gallon reservoir was in service, so we had to drain all of the water out of that, take it out of service. The way the project worked, we had to always have one reservoir in service at all times. So we had to have the 4 million in operation while the 12 million was out and the 7 million was being operated, and then the 7 million had to be brought on so that the 4 million could be taken out. So there was a lot of coordination efforts between engineering, distribution, and water production. So it was a joint effort by the whole team. The third picture there shows the scaffolding that was put in. That scaffolding had to be put up to install the dome that you can see in the next picture. And then also there you can see the forms that went into, since this was a new construction, the baffle wall there was constructed out of concrete. So that concrete baffle wall was constructed on the concrete slab as everything went up. So you had the concrete slab, the baffle wall installed. You had the walls that were poured. You can't see a picture of that, but the walls were actually installed on the side of the road that was put in along the slab there, and each wall had to be poured individually, and then everything was erected as the project went on. And then the last picture there, you can see the walls have already been put up, and then they're in the process of pouring the new dome for the 7 million gallon reservoir there. So that was poured in, if you think of it as pie cutouts, as individual pieces of pie as it went around. The last one here, this is an ongoing project that we're doing. This is to install 2 emergency generators at the Nearman Water Treatment Plant. So for this, we're working this in tandem again with Black and Veatch and BPU's engineering team. It's a generator and switchgear improvement. The equipment was awarded for this in April of 2024. We're currently at about 60% plans being completed. We're looking at getting 90% plans by the end of November. The delivery of the generator is scheduled for March of 2026, and the delivery of the switchgear is scheduled for July of 2026. And we're looking for the construction window to be between March and September of 2026. This project is one of the projects that we received a grant from FEMA for. And one of the requirements of the FEMA grant is for the project to be completed within a 3-year window. So we started this project in September. We were awarded the FEMA grant in September of 2023, so we have to be finished by September of 2026. One hurdle that we have with this project is just the long lead times for electrical equipment and the current conditions that we're in. So as I said, we ordered the equipment April of 2024, and we're looking to, it'll be almost a 2-year window to get that equipment in for this project.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Dorward Johnson. I go by DJ, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the main replacement program that we have going on. So this funding for this work is from a $10 million EPA grant. The area is that I worked on is called Area R. In the upper right-hand picture, you can see the map of the area. It's bounded by state line on the right, county line at the bottom, Southwest Boulevard, and Row Lane. The blue lines represent the mains that are existing. The yellow lines represent the mains that were replaced. So we spent about $4 million in this project. We replaced about 3.4 miles of main. We affected 326 customer service lines and installed about 47 new fire hydrants. Some replaced and some were new to improve fire protection. Project was bid in September of last year. Contractor got started. Let me back up just to here. The selection process for which mains to be replaced was based on primarily 4-inch and 2-inch water mains that are some of our oldest, and based on a leak rate of between 2 and 3 leaks per mile per year. So that was the criteria used to determine which mains to replace. If you're looking at the pictures on the lower left, that's an alleyway, 15-foot easement through there. We're an old 2-inch main, went through. You can see the challenges with making repairs in there. The next picture over is that alleyway cleared. In this case, we were able to put a new 2-inch water main in that area. However, for most of the project, we tried to get out of those narrow alleyways, put the main in the street to give us better serviceability in the future, to be able to put the fire hydrants out there to improve fire protection. The challenge then with that is moving the mains to the front of the property. The next picture is a stone foundation. So those are 18-inch stone foundations on houses where we had to transfer the service from the back to the front, had to core drill those, and had to be concerned with structural integrity of some of those foundations, but overcame the challenges, but it helped to drive the cost of the project up a little bit. The next picture shows where we normally try to bore these water mains in, but in some cases there's a lot of rock. And in that picture there, you can see the rock that we contended with. This whole area had about 700 cubic yards of rock that had to be removed to get these new mains in. This area was selected to go first because we coordinated with the Unified Government Mill and Overlay projects. So in this case, where the main runs down the street, we were able to get the new main installed and backfilled, and then the city came in, did mill and overlay work. So it looks like new project and minimal concerns down the road. The last slide there, that's Southwest Boulevard. In this case, we put a 12-inch main right down the middle of Southwest Boulevard. The issue there was trolley tracks. So right down the middle of Southwest Boulevard was an old trolley. Rail was in the way, and you can see in the left-hand portion all the railroad ties associated with that trolley rail. Next slide, please. So Area R was complete, 100%. Again, $4 million spent in that area. These other areas, A, B, D, and F, those are the areas the contractor is working in now. Again, the yellow are the mains being replaced in that portion, about 3 miles of pipe in there at about $3 million. After that should be completed by spring of 2026. Then the summer of 2026, they'll be moving to project area P and Q. Again, another $3 million spent in those, and another 3 miles of pipe in there as well. Next slide, please. Lastly, I'd like to talk to you about the parallel pump project, electrical improvement project. Parallel pump station, along with the Milan pump station, they serve the same pressure boundary in our system. They serve about 60% of our customer base, and those are pretty critical pump stations. Before 2004, Parallel Pump Station was the only pump station that served this area. That pump station was built in 1963. So the first two pictures there are the original switchgear from 1963 that are being upgraded. Similar to Brandon's project, the long lead times for this work caused us to have to start early. This was a Burns and Mac design project. Again, we started 2 years ago, procured the equipment, procured the motor control equipment, procured new variable frequency drives, and those have been ordered. The new motor control equipment's due to arrive next week. And let's see, we bid the construction in September of this year. The construction portion for the installation is about $700,000. The switchgear and drives are $900,000. This was a SRF or KDHE loan fund project, and $2 million for that project as well. So the issues here is we need to keep 2 pumps available in this pump station. There are 5 pumps in that station. So with this portion of gear out, 3 of the pumps aren't available. This will be done in phases, so that the first phase, the new gear will go in, those pumps will be started up. And then second phase will happen with the last 2 pumps. So with this project and the first project, I think the success or potential success of these, it comes down to coordination. So it's important to coordinate with BPU staff who are making connections of those mains to our existing mains, coordinate with the contractor, coordinate with the storeroom, make sure we have all the right material on hand. So I'd like to do a call out to Michael Oldehoff, who's here, Steve Hargis. Those are supervisors on the water distribution side who really help make sure those crews were available and the material was available. And I call out to Mark Fortin, who's our engineer aide, who did the coordination work in the field between the contractor and BPU crews as well. Finally, on the switchgear project, I want to shout out to the electric operations department. It was great working with them. They have 2 service lines coming in, 4 transformers there. 2 of the transformers have to be de-energized, moved temporarily, new pads put in, new lines from the transformers into the building put in. So I want to shout out to them for helping us get that all coordinated along with the water treatment plant to keep everything in production and keep the water flowing. Last slide. So with that, I just wanted to give you a brief overview, or we all wanted to give you a brief overview of the water projects that have been going on. And with that, I'd call up Philip and Brandon and Aaron and if you had any questions.
DJ, is there a time frame on that EPA 10 million loan? Do we have to have?
I'll let Philip speak to that.
So is there a time frame before we have to finish spending it? No, it does not have one. Our goal is to finish before 2028, but the grant itself doesn't have an explicit date we have to finish. Only our FEMA grant does.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, DJ. Yeah, you really perked me up. I mean, it really did. I've had a real long day. And so when you were talking about the A, B, D, and F replacement projects, the time frame, I've gotten quite a few calls regarding that and the time frame that it is. And I appreciate your sharing with us that not only that, but the previous one around County Line is part of the older system. So my question is A, B, D, and F. I think Rodriguez, is that the one that Rodriguez is the sub for? And have they given any timetable? I mean, similar, I guess, to the question that's being asked, because I have gotten some calls. It's the area actually where I live, and
Yes,
Stevie lives in that area, and Gary, and so
it's intended for that work to be done by spring of 2026.
so will it? Well, okay, so that's one of the concerns. How do we replace, or what do we do? Okay, I've heard front yards and backyards are being simultaneously disrupted during this, and a couple of calls. Will they just have to live with it through the winter?
It's hard to say for sure where Rodriguez is in their restoration process. But yeah, I mean, this is going to continue on through the winter. And they'll do the best that they can. But if there's particular issues with certain areas that the contractors, disrupting and impacting flow of traffic or impacting customer service, then definitely want to hear about it.
I will certainly circle back with you on that, because I do know a couple of the spots, and they are
Okay.
Yeah.
It is, it does impede
It's
access.
not my particular project, but I will
Right.
definitely take word back to the person in charge of that area, and I'll make sure that it gets addressed.
Thank you, TJ.
If you want to email Chris and I those locations, we'll definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, DJ. Phil, when you guys coordinate your efforts with the city, is it Public Works?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay, yeah. I was assuming, because they were on the ED&F committee, a standing committee that I sit on. When those things are discussed, sometimes they're discussing items, and I have to make, a vote. I want to make sure that we know that it's primarily with Public Works that we're dealing with.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Any other questions?
Any other questions? Rose, do you have any questions?
I do not, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team from Water. Next, we had a request from board member to put item on here to talk about, the federal workforce and some of the things that's going on. And so, I don't know if
I'll just.
you want to open it up
Yeah,
for.
I requested that this item be put on the agenda. Originally, it was when we were seeing people being laid off, being furloughed, being fired from their jobs because of what was going on in the federal government. And in years past, we've allocated money at the end of the year to like United Way to in their the hardship program. And generally that would have been in December, but I thought maybe we would look at it a little bit earlier because this is going on now. We're having people now that are affected by it. But since then, we've had the issue with the SNAP benefits and the SNAP payments not going through. So people are going to have to start determining whether they want to buy groceries or have utilities. So I thought maybe we could discuss that a little bit as a board and see if there's something that we could do to assist our customers during this horrible time that we're going through. I do know that I got one email today that I don't know that other utilities are doing anything yet, but in Emporia, they have suspended shutoffs and disconnect fees for people that are experiencing problems with the SNAP. And we might want to consider, talk about maybe doing the same thing while these benefits are not going out. We could suspend, maybe we could suspend shutoffs as one thing. But that's just something that we as a board, I'd like to get input and discuss and see where we're at and what we'd like to do. And whether we have extra money that's available that we could funnel to the United Way for the numerous people now. I mean, the hardship, but there's going to be more with the layoffs and the cutback in the federal force. I know that we probably, they would not have enough money, and if we could find some to funnel to the United Way.
So
Assist.
we did meet a couple of times before today to try to figure out where we had things, what levers we had to pull. We sent some emails. I sent some emails out to some other KMU members to see what they were doing in their cities. And I think Abby reached out to the gas company and some other places. Outside of Emporia, which we didn't reach out to, we haven't heard of anybody that's doing anything. I think Andrew was able to verify that the SNAP payment for the 5th, is that right? Was going to get paid. But the second one,
Currently, the current forecast appears to be that half the monthly payment allotment, the month of November will go out.
And so, we also, Abby reached out and found out that there's about $67,000 total, but there's about 23,000 left in the hardship balance. And there's a little over 44,000 left in the utility assistance program for a total of about 67,000. That's what's left. And so some of the things we talked about is, folks can, some of those folks are only allowed to make 3 payment arrangements in a calendar year. We felt like we could move that to 4, be able to help people out, give them some more, time there. We could probably go back and change the rules on the hardship program, allow up to $1,200 for a 12-month period. Currently, it's just a one-time payment of up to $500. So for instance, if somebody got a payment in earlier in the year or whatever it was, and that payment was only, that help was only $250, we'd be able to go back and then make them whole up to that 500 should they need it. So those are some of the things we talked about and options we came up with. And again, along with, the balances of what was left in the assistance accounts.
Would it be necessary to reenact the policy committee to go through and look at possible ways in which we can provide assistance?
We can do these things without action by the policy committee. I don't know, Wendy, whether you would want them to direct us to go, do this kind of work, or if it's something we can just go do. We manage those programs now.
Yeah, I think it might be cleaner if they did direct you just by motion and then second and a vote. If that's the direction that they want you to go in, I think it would probably be cleaner that way.
Well, before you entertain that motion, let me thank you, Mr. President, President Cronin, for having this clarity to look visionary at what is happening in society as a whole and to take the action to bring it this evening. I don't know if we do have time for policy committee or other interim committees to meet because of the exigency of the circumstance with the supplemental assistance program, food assistance. Reminded me of the discussion and your compassion and understanding for some of the economic problems when we had the debate about the cold weather rule, that not being able to sustain during cold weather and the necessity during cold weather and the necessity now of food while we maintain the energy. So I appreciate that, Tom Groneman, and what you're doing. Is this a means tested? Would this be based on the income of the holder? How do we gauge that indeed there's the necessity for the forbearance of the disconnect? I mean, how would we know, or could it be allocated regardless of
We're
area.
talking about like for the SNAP benefit people, or for people that have lost their jobs or the hardship.
or to forego for the hardship? Yes.
I would imagine that the hardship would just continue on the way that it is if they could show that they've lost their job or they're that they've been laid off or furloughed, or if you're an air traffic controller and you're not getting, you're.
So it wouldn't be household income based. It would just be inured to an individual or the account holder.
hardship.
Right.
We can walk you through what makes people eligible now. And I think what we talked about, trying to follow suit. I mean, that's what's enacted and applicable. There's also the other point of is how much time and money do we want to spend running down helping people, or should we just help them? So we could come up with this great big process and we could spend a whole bunch of team time and money trying to figure out who, and then, we call you back 2 weeks later and you've already been paid kind of thing. So
Yeah, to offer some clarity to your questions. So the hardship is not income-based, so that is situational. So if somebody is not receiving a paycheck right now due to the shutdown, they could provide documentation, and that's where it's up to the $500. But as Jeremy mentioned, let's say that they received assistance back in February, got a job, and now they're not receiving a paycheck, they wouldn't be eligible. Well, we could lift that requirement because it's a 12-month requirement, a one-time payment. So we could just cap it at the $500 and not the one time. And then with the utility assistance, that is income based, which not to make an assumption, but may be applicable to those that are missing some of the SNAP benefits. Adding the additional payment arrangement. So right now, all customers have the opportunity to set 3 1/6 payment arrangements. And so they take what is owed, split that into 6 payments. So that's typically 3 allowed in a 12-month or in a calendar year, excuse me. We could offer another one. And so that way, if somebody has been on those and would not be eligible. But to your question about verifying that, I think it would be simpler and easier just to offer that to everybody, say between now and the end of the year, and then reassess where we are at that point. Because the time that we would spend having them provide documentation that an additional payment arrangement is needed, when, like you said, the urgency is there. So we could just open that up to all customers.
One of the things we think too is because we've had some communication from government employees that we work with. So for instance, we have a communication right now from our FENA representative that we've been working with on a storm claim, right? And he has emailed us and said, hey, I can't help you during this time period. I'm not working. I'm part of this effectiveness. So, and in the email, he says, I have received this notification. Well, these folks are going to have that, and if we, are willing to work with them, they're willing to work with us. I'm sure they can provide some things. But at the end of the day, if it is a SNAP participant and they're, we know they're going to qualify because they're on the program. Is there going to be some bad actors and some people take advantage? Maybe. But again, by the time we would spend a bunch of time coming up with a process, running all that stuff down and then, coming back and calling those people back, will they still even be in crisis? Will they have moved on? Those types of things.
So to clarify, for both the hardship and the utility assistance, United Way, you call 211. So they manage that. So any requirements that would be needed, they already have that. We can just lift the one time and just tell them the $500. With the payment arrangements, we would do that here. And we, like I said, instead of limiting that to 3 by the end of the year, we could say we would offer an additional one in 2025. And then depending what happens in the next few weeks, we can make a determination from there.
So thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the clarification. So the notification then is, there is no notice. It's only by those who proactively reach out and share that they're having a hardship. So this won't be something that the general public is aware of.
We could get
squeeze-
communication out via social media. We could put stuff on our website. The word of mouth gets around pretty well. We have actually already had a couple people reach out to us who have been impacted. And so we've been working with those individuals already. Carrie Glover, our customer care advisor, has been reaching out to agencies and has been working with individuals who have already reached out to us.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
How much concern is there, I guess, about, you mentioned the remaining funds in there, and we've got, just even in a normal year, 2 months left in the year. I hate to, it's not like there's not going to be needs next year, but I guess one of the things I was toying around with my head is if we anticipate that over the next 14 months, who knows what the future holds, but there's a decent chance that the next month or two are some of the most acute need. Do we have the flexibility to say, hey, this is what we are looking at for next year? Could we, offer that same amount, but an earlier start date to United Way in case they need to, if the crisis is, 2 weeks from now, I'd hate to, we run dry 2 weeks from now and then there's money in the bank come January, but hopefully some of these things are resolved by then. And I know we can't predict that or guarantee that some of those things will be resolved, but
So, I mean, at the end of the day, we can work with and make, you know, all the arrangements that we can without putting us in without jeopardizing our, you know, our position. And really, you know, what these things do is defer the revenue, right? I mean, and so next year's already looking pretty lean. You know, when you talk about moving dollars from Economic Development Fund, there, it's zero today. There's none there to move for 2025. So Andrew can talk about the longer it goes, the different effect it has on the collection and the revenue piece. But I guess it's all money, right?
Now, would the cancellation or the moratorium on shut-offs, how would that affect the cash or money?
So obviously it depend on how many people utilize that function, right? So without knowing specifically, right, on a general month, for the month of November, this time frame, we generally see somewhere around 700 payment arrangements made. And so therefore, with those 700, would it be 1,400? Would it be 12,000? It's really difficult to tell. Again, it goes back to how many utilize it for purposes because they're in real need, how many utilize it for a tool to, I'll say, save for Christmas. It's hard to say. But again, there's generally, we do 700 payment arrangements a month. And really payment arrangements, what I would anticipate with this process here is we may see payment arrangements move higher, right? So on an average month, we see 700. Does that go to 1,400? Does that go to some other number? And again, it goes back to the forbearance of revenue, not necessarily the avoidance of revenue. That's kind of the same thing in terms of avoiding shutoffs, right? In terms of it pushes that down the road. Some of it is how well does it act in terms of the value to the constituent itself. You then push some of that, I'll say, balances to the next summer season, these type of things, which then are elevated numbers and it becomes a challenge. Again, we can do what we need to do, and it's really difficult to tell the number of people who move in that direction without, again, we have, 30,000 plus households effectively that are in that, 100 to 20% of federal poverty level type numbers. So again, depending on I don't know how many of those people necessarily receive SNAP or other benefits that might be impacted, but you could see that really blow up on that number. So
the other thing we see with the payment arrangement data is just naturally, and probably largely because of some of the figures he just spit out, is we do see that average 700 number a month grow pretty healthy in January. And we do think it's because of probably the holiday season and people doing those things. We also ironically see it kind of at the start of summer, which you would think it would be the middle or the back of summer when the usage is more because of the air conditions and so on and so forth. But I mean, the only thing we can really attribute that to is that's the time of year these same folks are probably getting their little ones ready to go back to school and doing all of those things that they have to do. And so then they become in need of the arrangement.
But we do offer arrangements.
But is that setting people up to fail? I mean, if you can't make your payments.
I think if you certainly give, people more room to keep digging a hole when you do something like that. That's just what the numbers tell us is there. If somebody's already on the line and you let them to move farther away from that line, they're going to have a harder time getting back. You're going to have a longer deferral period. They're going to be in distress longer themselves.
there's no right answer.
There is no right answer, but we don't want people to be shut off because
That's right. That's right. And that's why we do offer payment arrangements, right? We offer payment arrangements to all types of people. And so therefore, we could absolutely see that number grow and expand from what I'll say traditionally have seen over the last couple of years. And so, but again, that offers that 6-month relief, like, right? That 1/6 payment that Abby talks about is you don't have to come up with that full $300, $400, $500 payment, whatever that number is. You get 1/6 of that number. So it does require some payment, but just 1/6 of that number. So.
And I think what we've experienced so far is a couple of inquiries, not tens, not 20s, not hundreds, couple, but it was enough. You know, this team's a lot different. And so, between that and conversation I had with Tom the other day, we jumped on it. So.
Am I hearing right? I know we're kind of throwing around a couple different things, but maybe functionally it's the same. I know, Tom, you had mentioned like a, shut off moratorium, but if we're making folks eligible for an arrangement they would not have otherwise been eligible for, that in and of itself would hopefully avoid a shutout or shut off at least for several months. But what would that look, if someone was, let's say they had used their 3 arrangements already
Right.
and would otherwise be on the verge of that, what do the next several months look like for them? Is there still the possibility of a shut off?
So if somebody has already used 3 payment arrangements, they would typically not be eligible. So by offering the 4th one, as Andrew stated, they would pay 1/6 of the balance that's due. Whereas if we did not offer the 4th, they would have to come up with the full balance or risk disconnect. Or of course, there's FlexPay. So it does offer another option. And I had mentioned just through the end of the year, because it's long enough to see what's going to happen in the impact without creating a larger issue. And then maybe mid-December reassessing where we are at that point.
So I think what you're asking is, when somebody's on a payment arrangement, can they still get themselves eligibility disconnected? Yes, they can.
Yeah.
But in order for that to be the case, their obligation would be to pay 1/6 rather than the whole bill. So it would be
1/6 plus the monthly usage. So
Yeah.
1/6 of the amount they can't pay today,
sure.
and then still
Okay.
what's coming.
The
for- as
1/6
used.
would at least, so for right now, if they're not able to pay their current bill, the full amount, they could pay 1/6 of that
Mhm.
and then defer the rest until
Sure.
they maybe have, whether we know paychecks are going to be coming in at that point or not, or if we need to step back and reassess what that looks like for them.
But they're still gonna get their other normal
Right.
usage bill that's coming for other periods.
Okay.
So the 6th gets put on the normal usage.
Right.
Right.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
It gives them a little bit more time without coming up with that full amount.
Let me ask on the back end of that, if there were to be, a disconnection prior to this being fully explored about the 1/6, would there be something else we might offer upon finding that indeed there was this hardship, like a reconnection? What is a reconnection, our reconnection fee? Do we have a reconnection fee currently? And or how much is that?
Oh, you're putting me on the spot.
No, I thought I knew. Was it
I'm
50?
sorry, I
50?
should.
It's like, whatever, it's not.
So if
50,
you are currently disconnected and say you've exhausted your payment arrangement options, you would owe the full amount. By offering the additional payment arrangement option, the 1/6 would be required to be turned back on. There's also the FlexPay option. And that one is where you get turned back on, you make a payment, any balance that you have is there. But when you make a payment, 25% goes to the arrears and then 75% goes to new usage. And so that is another option for those who maybe cannot come up with either the 1/6 or the full amount. They can get on the FlexPay. They'll make a payment where they're paying for their future usage, that 75%, the 25% to help them pay off the arrears. So that is another option.
But we'll amortize that amount for the reconnect fee into so if it's $50, 75, is that cut up for the percentages, or is that a lump sum part of what must be paid for installation, for reconnection?
For the flex pay, to start that, it's $100.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay, thank you.
Where I was coming from basically is if I don't have the money, if I'm on SNAP and I'm not getting the money for food, I'm gonna have to make the decision whether to buy food or pay utilities, whether I'm on a payment plan or not. I'm not gonna be able to, I'm not gonna be able to, to make a payment plan and make the payments on the plan. I think that's a great idea for once this all gets settled. And once the payments start flowing again and going out to the people, then they have, then they take a deep breath and then they can set up a payment plan and be able to make those payments. But right now, they can't do that. So that's why I would think that maybe what they're doing like in Emporia, putting a moratorium on shutoffs, not shut, and hopefully it's only going to be a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then the government will open back up and they'll start making these payments again. And then we have the opportunity for this extra pay plan. I don't know.
But the hardship is still available, correct?
Hardship, hardship is still available. We still have funds there and the utility assistance. Yes.
And Abby, I should know this already, but when someone calls in because they have a bill they can't pay, they're referred to United Way or the hardship program as one possible solution for that.
Yes. So it depends on when the customer calls in. Sometimes they know to ask for a payment arrangement. Sometimes that's offered. If they express to us that there is a need that's, a recent job loss or government shutdown not getting, or if it's something as a medical bill that they weren't expecting or whatever it is, then we automatically refer them for the hardship if they're eligible for utility assistance. And that's where United Way 211, they make that determination on which one do they qualify for, what the need is. And so, for example, with the hardship, that may be as something as simple as just needing the 1/6 payment for the payment arrangement or something to carry them through until, they know something else is coming.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So Wendy, what you were saying is that there needs to be some affirmative action by the board to this be instituted, or?
I don't think the policy committee needs to meet at all. I don't think there needs to be any policy adopted. I was just saying that if the board would be more comfortable with giving them direction, then I think a motion for Jeremy to direct staff to proceed as needed to offer whatever they have in their arsenal, in other words, to provide relief.
And it probably needs an end date to
Correct.
to ensure that we review and things have changed. It doesn't just
Out through December 31st or something and then reassess. January 1st.
Can it be through the government shutdown? Can it be
What?
still being date specific?
No.
We don't know what that is.
Plus, there could be a residual after the government, when the government's like you said, they were doing half for 1 week already. There's only gonna be half of this upcoming SNAP money, so if it goes back on, still may this effect.
And you all would have the discretion, I mean, if we just make a motion empowering you to, I can't remember the language but use the tools at your disposal, right? If we hit a point where it was, okay, SNAP benefits are rolling out, it's not like you are then obligated to, that you can't use your discretion at that point to go
That's
back
right.
to the status quo.
If that would happen, we would, depending on when the next meeting were, at minimum, an email will come out to the board saying, hey, this thing is reinstated. Would you, we're going to recommend that we go back to normal or whatever the case may be, adjust. And we wouldn't just leave it in place if things, and then again, at the end of the year, if things look different and we need to extend, adjust, add, remove, I mean, that's why I think the end date's important. It doesn't mean it's going to stop. It just forces us to look at the experience we've had and adjust the program accordingly.
Well, and we're at a time of year between this meeting, budget retreat, December meeting, there's gonna be some check-in points along the way.
That's correct.
What, you brought the idea, we should make them, I mean, if that is motion, I appreciate you bringing the idea.
I would entertain a motion. I was trying to get a feel for what the other.
Yeah. Your leadership.
I kind of like the sum of what you gave us, which is to basically our team has named a handful of tools at their disposal and say, we approve of them making use of those to address this from here till December 31st. That's not put in the form of a motion, but something to that.
How do you
effect.
feel about moratorium on shutoffs? For a period of while until the SNAP benefits come back out. I mean, we did a moratorium during the COVID, I think, didn't we?
For me, and I think that's a good idea, moratorium, but only if they have so much in arrearage, because again, like you said, that's digging a deep hole that has to be reinstated, or it has to be maintained at some point. And I don't know how that would do, what that would do to the bottom line of where you are if there's no, because that's the hammer that they use,
I think if we're able to go back, to Brett and Ms. Green's point, if we're able to go back and do the things we've talked about, if you put, say, 12/31 date on that, I mean, we're going to be able to now then log, have trends, have data. If something is terribly out of whack, I think we meet on the 20th, something like that. We could, talk about adjusting things then if people aren't comfortable with a disconnect moratorium. I mean, it's really tough to say since we've had 2 or 3 calls, what's going to be effective and what isn't.
We may want to exhaust the hardship dollars and utility assistance first, because that could help alleviate or bridge some of
So
those.
a SNAP recipient who is not getting SNAP, they would qualify for the hardship.
They would qualify for the utility assistance, which is part of that fund that's there. So they could qualify for the utility assistance. And in some cases, that may pay 1/6, that may even pay the full bill.
Was that up to 500?
No, that's the hardship.
That's hard.
Yeah, the utility assistance is income-based. And so making an assumption that recipients of SNAP benefits would qualify, there's around $45,000 right now available there. And so we can refer individuals over for that. The hardship is not income-based, that is situational. So that would be maybe they're a federal employee who's not getting paid, or they have been laid off or something like that.
So essentially, if we did, those things, we would be offering that 4th arrangement between now and the end of the year before anybody who could qualify. We would also be able, those folks that have used some hardship in the last 12 months, but not up to that 500, be able to go back and reallocate that up to them, up to that amount. And then certainly, make sure that if they qualify for one of those, that we're getting them in touch with United Way to see what else they can qualify for. that's, I think, the $67,000 isn't gonna last very long, but
That was the next question. Do we need to try to find some other funds where we can reallocate to put additional funds into the utility assistance and the hardship program?
I think we should kind of put a time frame on that and see where we are. I feel like we did that in COVID with a fund that we didn't expend, if I'm remembering that right, that went into that hardship fund.
You've done that annually with the economic development fund
Right.
since that time. You don't have that option today because that fund's been used. this
Used
year.
up, I know.
That's correct.
I mean, so I'm kind of in favor of watching and waiting and giving, Jeremy and others direction to do what's necessary. And when we see that we've got to do something else, and come back to the board with whatever it is we can do.
If we do these options, we would know by the next board meeting how much of those funds were left, if any, and then we could reassess at that time as well.
And how many requests, how many
Right.
impacts we've had.
If that was moving quicker than we'd like to see,
We would certainly.
would that be something we carve a few minutes out of our
Budget.
already scheduled budget retreat, since we already have kind of something on the books just a
Absolutely.
couple weeks from now?
we absolutely can do that.
Okay.
Okay.
That would make me feel a little better, so that if those tools are, if we're reaching the end of those in a hurry, then at least we're in a position, if there's another action or other option that we need to consider at that time, we can move quickly, I guess.
I'd be comfortable with that as well.
As long as we can direct those people to get the assistance that they need. Personally, I don't want someone to have to make the decision of feeding my family or having my water and lights turned off. I mean, so if we can direct those people to where they can get the assistance that they need, then that's what I'm.
Understand the concern.
Are we pretty much in agreement that we would allow the staff to use whatever tools they have available to assist our customers in this crazy time
Yeah, then reassess when we meet.
and reassess through direct the staff between now and the what's the date of our first meeting in rather than December 31st, if we make it the first meeting in January 4th or 5th.
And you could do that. And again, we can give you an update on the 20th and we can give you an update in the December meeting.
Yeah.
First meeting in January.
So as far as an end date, do we want to use that?
That's a good day.
That's, yeah,
Yeah.
It's fine with us.
makes sense. That way there's not a gap.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, on December 31st, then all of a sudden we got
Yeah.
5 days there and we're gonna be rushing around. So,
And in the meantime, we'll also be in cold weather rule, wouldn't we?
That is correct. So if the weather turns cold, that would impact any disconnects as well.
so I think that we need to instruct the staff then to use whatever tools they have available to assist our customers, so that they can make it through this prime time.
Is that your motion, sir?
To expire on January the 5th, 7th, and
I
be
think
reassessed, as need be between now and then.
I so move.
Got a we moved
I'd second.
in a second. Okay, all in favor? Roll call.
I can do a roll call. Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry,
Aye.
that motion carries.
Well, thank you, for that, and giving us some leeway there. Again, thanks to the customer care team, thanks to Andrew. Like I said, we did get together a couple times, and have these options readily available for us to be able to describe to you and act. So, thanks to the team for that. Moving on to public comments, if there's no other discussion. Kaylee, is there anybody signed up to speak? Mr. Kostelak, Philip Kostelak. If you would, come to the podium and state your address, and you have 5 minutes to talk.
Okay, Philip Kostelak, senior. Have a business at 440 Stanley Road down at Fairfax, Kansas City, Kansas, obviously. Thanks first for taking time. Basically, as we've just seen, it's always about where the money's going or where it's been. And that's what I'm here to present tonight. It's something that I viewed. I was out of town, but on TV out of town. And I have a file here for each person, but if I would have been able to, I would have tried to bring up this 10-minute video, I guess it was. Well, it's a TV. It's called Investigate TV Plus Weekend Data Centers. And this thing basically just some of these, there's like 6 or 8 big tech giants that are wanting to put these data centers are all over the country, but they're doing it in some, let's say, scrupulous ways. And our community, just like any, cannot afford to have our power. That's what this data center documentary is these people coming into communities, some of them without notification. It's only 10 minutes, but it will open your eyes. And basically, at some points, oversurging the power grid because they had to bring power in from out of town to supply what they needed. In some cases, they just basically told some people that they were going to build a strip mall, and the next thing in this neighborhood pops up a ginormous data center, destroying these people's property values and that type of thing. And that's basically what I'm here. I mean, I have some ideas. I have of things. I mean, we have mothballed utility plants. I mean, that's my point in looking at this, is that these people, these are multi-billionaires. These are not, people just off the, they're starting a startup business. They have the funds and the money to create their own power plant facility. And that's kind of my thought of it. We're in the Midwest. They want to be here. They need to be here to reach out. And like I said, if you just take a 10-minute view of this documentary, you'll go, wow, we need to definitely make sure, they got wind in some places and want to know and put a no contest clause or no notification clause on cities somehow. And all of a sudden these things were there and the utilities are drying up. But the biggest other issue is when they go and buy power, which you all know, you're in this business. When you buy power out of range, it costs more money because it depletes on its way in. And that our people that we're already talking about here in Wyandotte County do not want to see our utility bills go up. So mega billionaires can come here and make profit. So that's pretty much just my little presentation. And I have a file here that.
Is your link to your video in your material?
Yes.
Okay.
If you just, I've looked and I tried to download it today to put it on a jump drive, but if you just go to this investigate TV plus weekend data centers, and it says expanding across the country, it'll give you the whole story in 10 quick minutes that I know.
You have 1 minute?
What's that again?
You have 1 minute left.
1 minute left, she said.
Oh, okay. No, I was just going to, where would
If-
leave these
Leave them,
files?
if you could leave them with, Ms. Green.
Okay.
We'll,
There's 6 of them here and
okay,
thank you.
thank you. Next up, Ty Gorman. Oh, sure, sure.
Mr.
Gosley.
Have you shared, thank you, have you shared this information also with the UG? Because we had kind of taken some action here.
Well, I
but-
saw this, over the weekend.
Okay,
So I've been
You-
putting
you-
it together and found the board, found the board meeting tonight luckily and,
because the UG too has had an ongoing discussion about, well, I mean, maybe even before that, I
Oh,
mean,
right.
to their commission. Yeah,
Yeah.
I just didn't know if you had visited with them as well, because they've had a very robust discussion about the data centers as well. All right,
all right, well, I'll get,
Okay.
copies of it over to them.
thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Ty, Gorman, state your address in
Very
5
much.
minutes.
Ty Gorman, 2843 Parkwood Boulevard, Northeast KCK. And first want to say thank you because first time I came to talk to BPU as a community member was the very beginning of the pandemic when we were begging for a moratorium on shutoffs because people were getting thrown out of their homes and the conditions in that first Trump administration and the lack of public services and safety nets and the destruction of the public services that administration brought on then, repeating now in a totally artificial way. And but the difference between the BPU stepping up now and saying ahead of the catastrophe, we need to come out and be there for our customers is marked. So I want to say thank you very much for doing that. I would say, I think the moratorium in the short term is a really important tool. Just because what we want to do, right, is make sure before you shut anybody off that they're not going to die or get thrown out of their house from getting that shut off happen when they could recover. But that requires some proactive outreach, and maybe that's something that's in the arsenal of the staff, is that proactive requirement from the customer service to make sure that that there's no other option other than to shut it down, or that nobody's going to be hurt from that shut off. When I was in the peak of summer last year, my power got shut off, my auto pay got messed up, the couple of emails that got sent out went to spam, and suddenly my power was off on a real hot day in summer, and I was like, if I'm an old man right now, I might be dead. The steps that can be done to make sure, all the way up to going to the house or making calls or finding people in service agencies. I think that's one of the main ones, is looking around for service agencies who are in touch with folks and making sure that there's no connections to that person before the shut off. So these kinds of things are really important. And I want to thank you for being proactive to this catastrophe and the likely catastrophes that are going to keep coming under this federal administration. Another one of those catastrophes is the Weatherization Assistance Program, the LIHEAP program, and these other public services that the state is missing out on because we were supposed to get $100 million here, $50 million there from the laws that were passed, and now that's been illegally withheld. And so there's a couple things I think that can be done on that side. One is reaching out to your senator and asking Moran and whoever else to hold the DOE accountable for getting the money out that they're promised us. KCC is sort of moving forward with that program, doing contractors. They're already 6 months past when they said that $100 million would be available last year, but they're kind of at a yellow light with that program. So with some pressure, with some with some work, that money is still owed us for $100 million for the state to do energy efficiency, lower people's bills, improve home health and efficiency. Another, the big part, especially in the winter for this kind of bill issue for people with $500 bills plus in the winter, it's usually baseboard heating, right? That's incredibly inefficient. People with disinvested homes and baseboard heating and a lot of holes in their house that don't have weatherization, their bills are so high nobody could pay them. And the efficiency programs can be really important for that in the short term. There is still a tax credit for the heat pump right now. There is still a rebate on y'all's books for the heat pump and
1 minute
right
remaining.
now. So I would look at those, and that's where these 142 petitions come into play. These are asking for BPU and the board to just come together with a proactive plan for just to help meet these problems with more affordable energy, with healthier energy, with pollution-free energy. And, a little bit of the timeline, a couple of years ago, we went in the rate case, brought analysis there on things that could be cost savings and healthy ways of making energy. Last year in the integrated resource plan, we did the same thing and identified demand side management and some innovative programs in finance. This time, one of our partners came forward with a donated analysis, and that's going to be ready in the next week or two. So really hope we can make time next session, next meeting to take a look at that, accept that or add that to the IRP.
Your time is up.
I appreciate your consideration on that, and I'll deliver these. Honestly, the printer at the library messed up, but I also, so I have a bunch of them, but the email I sent also has all of them. So should I put them over here? My screen.
Yeah, Mr. Gordon. Ty, is what you're delivering, and thank you for the presentation, is that in concert with, I've been receiving a lot of emails called Adopt an Affordable Energy Plan for Wyandotte. Is that this too? Because I think the board has gotten a series of, but this is, because I've read a lot of them, so I just wanted to make sure that that's the same.
Exactly right, exactly
Okay.
right. Those are those folks that emailed there in there, as well as paper
Okay.
petitions that people have signed at events. So that's exactly the same thing,
Okay.
and appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Next up, Robert, I'm sorry, I can't read your last, Ewing, all right. If you could come up and state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
I don't need 5 minutes, but I am Robert Ewing, and I am Kansas City, Kansas resident. Do I need to get my address?
That's here.
Okay. I'm just up here just to briefly, and I'm leaving, because I wish they would do the public comment sooner, because when you work all day long, we're tired. I'm tired. I don't know about other people. I work, and I just want to, can it be changed for public comments to be sooner? Yes or no? Okay. I'm glad that you guys are caring. I'm very surprised. I don't mean to be a comedian, but I'm surprised that you care enough to think about the ones that are affected by the government shutdown, the ones who are not receiving SNAP benefits. I'm glad that you have a concern about that. I'm kind of shocked, but I'm happy that you are concerned, all of you. So I'm straightforward. I meant what I said. So that's what I want to say. And I also have some other comments, and they're going to be brief, and I'm leaving. But I want a plan emailed to me. I want a clean and healthy plan for 2026, because a lot has changed since 2024. I just want to see what your plan is for the environment or the air to be clean and healthy. I will email each of you and then let me know what your thoughts are on that or what the answer is. Also, I am, I'm getting blank. I just want to know what plan you have to provide rates that are affordable. What kind of plan do you have where the rates can be more affordable? Because our bills do skyrocket from time to time. You get surprise bills. That's not a good feeling. And also, I want information about the grant monies you said you had for different projects. Who's going to pay the rest of it? Are we going to pay the rest of it? Yes or no? And also, the reconnection fee. I know Senator Haley asked that question of what the reconnection fee is. I would like to know what that fee is myself, because I'm a landlord, and I'm glad I had a tenant that worked at IRS, and I don't know if she's furloughed or not, but she moved somewhere else, and she was a good tenant, but I'm glad I don't have to deal with not receiving the rent every month, so that's my comment on that. But my main concern is that clean and healthy plan, and also can the public comments be moved up? Because I don't want to sit here through a long meeting with hearing all the stuff we heard today. I think it's just really too long. I think it was very long-winded. I think that needs to change. Because being in a meeting till 10, 11 o'clock is too much for me. So I'm not trying to be rude, but I just really wish that could be considered, because when you work all day long and have to come to a meeting, it's a lot to sit through a 3-hour meeting. I'm not doing it. I refuse to. I think it's important to be involved as a community activist, which I am, but I think 3 hours is way too much for a meeting, especially when sounds like Greek. It can be shortened. Some of the stuff that they said earlier should be shortened. That was just totally too much, and it needs to stop.
Mr. Ewing, we did have the comments earlier.
Yeah.
And then when we would have a crowd of people and we were doing a presentation, people would just shout out, you know,
Oh,
I
yeah,
don't
okay.
understand this or whatever, when we were doing the budget or whatever. So we tried to go through the business so we could, when people got up to speak, they could ask questions about the presentation. So, you know, we could consider moving the comments back to the
Okay.
front
And
of the meeting.
I'm not a rude person. I know people are rude when they're dealing
I
with a lot
understand
of
that I'm not pointing my finger at you, but
no.
there were, and
I
there's
can be rude. I'm
people,
not rude. But I
there's
can be.
people in the
I have two
audience that
sides.
remember.
Yes, but that is I don't think it's correct to be rude, but I think people are just kind of outraged with what's going on now in the world and what's going on with our rates and so forth. So I'm outraged too, but I can act professional when I want to, and I can be street when I want to. So there's
I
two sides to
appreciate
me.
that.
So thank you, but I mean that in a sincere way, so don't misunderstand what I said, but I am just straightforward. Thank you. And we're leaving because this meeting really, like I said
Thank you,
earlier, we
Mr.
need to.
Ewing.
Mr. Ewing.
Okay.
And I should mention to you, Mr. Ewing, it is available. We are online. I'm very proud of that. But we are online now. And so if you aren't able to physically be here, you are able to access the meeting. And we do allow, through Mr. Camp back there, the public can bring comment. I mean, it's still the length of the meeting, but you might be able to do it without actually physically being here and still participate virtually in that way.
All right, this sounds good. I forgot about that. I knew that was available, but I just reminded of it. So thank you. That's probably what I'll be doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, is there anybody online with their hand raised?
Yes, sir, I have 2 hands.
I just wanted to provide clarification on the disconnect fee. So on a postpaid customer electric, it's $10. For water, it's $35. If the customer is on FlexPay, it is $0 for electric and $35 for water.
We have 2 hands raised. The first hand is Eva. I'm enabling your ability to speak now. You'll need to unmute.
Hi, Eva. State your name and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Eva Garcia Meza. I'm a resident of Kansas City, Kansas. I just wanted to touch base on the BPU pilot relief threshold that's coming up for 2026. I know that is an effort that happens in conjunction with the UG. I just wanted to seek clarification if there was going to be BPU following the guidance of the income threshold that the UG is using. Is that going to be the same for eligibility for BPU? And in the same regard, I wanted to make a suggestion in regards to getting that information out to the community. I'm not currently sure what is done, but I think if we get mailers in the same invoices that go out, or maybe emails sent out to the same, like if they're signed up to get their invoices via paperless route. So that would be my suggestion. And then kind of to just go on to the conversation of the hardship programs, the 3 different programs that you guys discussed tonight. You know, I know there is a lot of apprehension about the BPU pilot, but potentially maybe using some of the funding that comes out of that funding to do advertising. I know you guys use some put some stuff out there on Facebook. And I personally use advertising on Facebook for several things that I'm involved in. And you can specifically target a radius. I know that sounds a little bit counterintuitive to use fund to then also provide information about money that is going to go out of the coffers. But I think we have to meet the moment, right? And right now, the situations that a lot of people are facing are out of their hands. So just doing proactive efforts, I think, can go a long way to change the perception that of BPU's concern to the public. So that would be my suggestion. Being intentional about how we get the information out to these people, because I think a lot of the community just simply doesn't know. I know there's a lot of information out there, but people just don't know. And it blows my mind because I see the efforts to get it out there, but I'll just reiterate, people simply do not know. I don't know how we bridge that gap, but I do think it's important that we address community needs as proactively as we can. That's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I think as you heard earlier, we are going to push this information out everywhere we can. When it comes to the pilot relief guidelines, that's set by the unified government. Again, just to reiterate, we simply collect those monies and transfer them to the unified government. We don't keep any of those monies to invest in any BPU operations. And I believe Ms. Green can correct me if I'm wrong, but that refund then also comes back from the unified government. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you. Rob, looks like the next one might be
Adrienne Lyon Marks.
You'll have to unmute yourself and please state your
Hi
name
there.
and address for the record, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Adrienne Lyons Marks. I live at 512 North Thompson Street, KCK. I want to say thank you to everybody who's spoken and to the board for hosting and receiving public comment. Honestly, I just want to start by inviting everybody who wants to just take a deep breath. And my question to you all is, where are you gaining hope and inspiration for the way that we power our community? And the reason that I'm asking that is because the things that are on my heart today, in particular, the pollution from the Nearman coal plant, this sort of looming nebulous situation with the data center, of course, collective trauma that so many people are experiencing across the country right now with the government shutdown and SNAP being cut off. I also know that this country has a history of resistance and resilience. And there are other cities, other municipalities, other democratically run energy corporations like BPU that are leaders when it comes to renewable, clean energy. I'm a cancer survivor, and most of KCK is surrounded by interstate, and so the quality of our air is really precious. And it can feel daunting to make a change, but I think that's why my question is, where are you gathering inspiration, inspiring examples of innovation for transitioning to green energy, transitioning to energy that's more affordable? We all love electricity. It's not going anywhere. We need it. We love it. We want more of it. So this world is not going anywhere. As much as things feel like doomsday a lot of times, the role that we have as a community is to think of the next 7 generations not just our kids and grandkids, but their grandkids. So I'd like to ask that you all take very seriously the need for a specific plan that's actionable and that includes community engagement, education about how energy comes to our community and how we can participate in generating it, whether it's through increasing solar powered energy or other means, whether it's leveraging this data center situation. Like that's an opportunity that we can leverage for converting to clean energy for us and for future generations. So if anybody has a response, I cede my time. I would love to hear from the board.
Thank you. Any board members have?
Oh, my comment will be long tonight.
Okay. Well, I would just, remind everybody that BPU's energy portfolio is 50% renewable, and we're very proud of it.
So what's it going to take for us to get to 100%?
Yeah, and let me go ahead and begin my comments now, because I sit here a lot of times and I get frustrated because it seems like there's a lot of lack of trust within the Wyandotte County community of the staff, particularly at BPU when it comes to data centers, when it comes to how we power this community. Now, when you have the ability to go to your light switch and turn it on and switch it up and the lights come on, I mean, a lot of people take that for granted. And I think that the fact that we have reliability in Wyandotte County, that we do have electricity, we do have, and it's affordable in spite of what you believe. Look across the nation, and it's and as he stated, we have almost 50% renewable energy right now, and we're still moving toward 100%. And you asked the question, what will it take? And trust me, the staff is looking at that 100 days out of every 100 days. Okay, so they're constantly looking at that. They're working toward that. They're moving. They're trying to look at what's best for the community. But like I said, you can't have your cake and eat it too. In other words, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Another term used. But let me just share that it bothers me that many times it seems as if there's no trust in what our staff at BPU is doing. But if you took some time and read what we provided, look at our website, see what's being done, look at the work that is involved, you'll see that we're pushing toward that effort. We don't want you to have unreliable, and as you said, our mission, we don't want you to have a lack of quality. We don't want you to have unsafe, and we don't want you to have unsustainable. So that's our goal, that's our mission. Please trust that we are trying to do what we say we're going to do. And I think a lot of times people come and they say, well, it's not happening quick enough. No, we can't change things overnight. It takes time. And please trust that we're pushing toward that effort. And when I hear other stuff about the data center, there's no development agreement yet made, and the unified government will make that decision. Hopefully they'll make a decision with our recommendations. We don't know, but these are your elected officials. Please don't expect BPU to make every decision. We only recommend. And the thing is that we have to wait until we receive a development agreement to be able to look at to see what recommendations we will make to the unified government. The unified government has to wait until they receive that before anything can be done. No, we're not gonna allow the unified government to do anything that we think will be against our mission. We're going to continue to push toward our mission. We're going to do everything in our power to persuade our elected officials within the unified government to do what we believe will be in the community's best interest. That's what we're going to do. And you have our commitment from our board members. That's our commitment to our community. That's what you elected us for. Please let me say that that you can trust us to do our job. If you think that we're not doing our job, please hold us accountable. But as long as we're doing our job, please, we're going to try to do our best to make sure that we do what we said we're going to do. We're going to uphold the mission that we state, and we're going to keep doing that every day of our lives. Thank you.
Looks like we have one more person with their hand raised. Yes, I can. If you could unmute yourself and state your name and address for the record, please. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you. It's Louise Lynch, Kansas City, Kansas. Thank you, Mr. Wicks, for stating that. I truly believe you all are doing what you ever you can to make sure those things are happening. And I am grateful for tonight for you guys to talk about not only SNAP, but the very difficult times people are in and struggling to survive, and in our community. So I want to thank you, but I do have a question about that. And I understand the motion that was made and what your plan is. My question is, if you run out of this money, the $67,000 for the hardship, within the next 2 days, what happens between that time and in 2 weeks when you have your next meeting? Because when people know that this is available and they're going to apply, 67,000 is going to go in no time flat. What will be the plan at that point? Or will people just be out of luck between now and then? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lynch. As we committed to keeping the board updated as the situation evolves, we'll do that. One of the tools we have at our disposal is to go and look and see if there's areas we have funding that we don't think will be spent prior to the end of the year. And we could, if those types of funds do exist, we could, then make recommendation to the board that we transfer some of that monies, much like we've done historically in the near term here with the Economic Development Fund monies. But thank you for your question. I think that is all of the folks we have to speak. Moving on to miscellaneous comments. Really, the only thing that I have my monthly report out kind of thing here. Some of the achievements for this month, you received the community impact report, and you can go through that. But we replaced the control systems on CT2 and 3. Those old control systems were 50 years old, hard to get parts and pieces for. Pretty sure we got all our money out of that investment. And so the new controls are a little bit improvement in the performance of the units, and a little bit more efficient work process for our teams. And then, as you're aware, the new phone system, IVR system, we were hoping to have it done by the end of the year. We had it implemented in October. And then you might have seen and noticed that we were able to get a couple of projects pushed over into the ARIS process at SPP. Very happy to report that this team remains focused on consumer protection. And so we were able to get those application fees paid by somebody else. We did not come out of pocket to pay for that process. And it was quite expensive, about $1.6 million. So we remain focused, as you can see today, with the proactive work the team did, with this new hardship and doing the work that we're doing for things like this, that trust me, we are focused on consumer protection, and that our community and our company is not left holding the bag for something that may or may not happen. Big news, groundbreaking on the Buc-ee's. We're finally on the map. I've been to a couple of them. I don't understand the taking a vacation to just go there, but nevertheless, if you're in a bind and you need a pair of socks and a brisket sandwich, you'll be covered. We we worked with the Unified Government folks on some volunteer hours this month. We walked some roadways, did some cleanup. Continue to be proud of the work we do and our volunteer efforts. It driving a huge amount of employee engagement. It's wonderful. We hosted the Lion School kids from JUCO. We're committed to helping that program stand up. We had them out at our electric operations center and down at the Nearman plant in October. It's a great bunch of folks. We're committed to helping that as long as they are committed to keeping it stood up and funded. Speaking of our employees, we have been, the executive team's been sort of on a road show this week, and will continue to be basically pared down our presentation with regard to the mission, values, and strategy. So Andrew, Jaron, Abby, and I are attending all the safety meetings across the fleet of campuses this week, and we're sitting and talking through that strategy with all of the team members and how each and every one of us affect what goes on and the outcomes that we achieve, you know, for the systems and for the communities and for our own internal community. So that's really awesome. Tuesday, we had the Morning Brew. We've been hosting a quarterly panel meeting. It's about an hour and a half. If you haven't tuned into it, please feel free to do so. But it's usually at least two of us executives, and we just sit for an hour and a half and have employee engagement. We broadcast it at all the other locations. Folks pile into conference rooms. They come down here if they're able. We've also traveled, and we did one at the service center. We're going to continue to do that quarterly. But one of the things I'm super proud of is we had about 50 people in this room Tuesday that attended in person, and we had over 100 online. What we didn't know is we had people gathering in conference rooms, and so we might see one user on there, but there was 30, 40, 50 people in the room. So through the work that Dennis's team's doing, gathering information, the work that we're doing out, engaging with people, the employee engagement is really on the rise, and we're proud of that. And just a little bit to show that, we completed our United Way drive for this year, and we had a 19% increase in funding, employee funding. So big kudos to the Culture Club. We've started a Culture Club here at BPU. They did a trick or treat night last week, and it blew my mind. I thought we were gonna have 25 people here, and we had 250. So we're continuing to work on culture. We're continuing to work on engagement, employee engagement, feedback, collaboration. You did get an email this week about the budget sort of schedule. And so I haven't heard back from anybody, assuming that date is going to work. And then as you meant, as Ty mentioned when he was up at the mic, we do have a request from those folks to be put on December agenda. So that's in that email as well. If you have thoughts on that, please share them with me, and we will build the agenda accordingly. So that's all I have. Thank you.
For board comments, Mary.
I just want to say congratulations to Philip for his new promotion, and wondering if Nearman's kept that record of safety number of days. Has that gone up when you were talking about visiting different places?
So
Safety, I hope that record wasn't broken.
Nearman Water Treatment Plant fell 10 days short of 2 years.
Oh.
They are devastated, but that shouldn't I really want to underscore the actual success that went on there.
Exactly.
So,
Proud of you,
yeah,
Steve.
they believe you me, they feel really bad about it. And, but they're back on track. We were actually at the water plant this afternoon with our roadshow, and, Steve Nerschel, he and his team brought it up in their comments. And so, they're living it safety first, and it takes a focused effort from them to do that. One thing I failed to mention, the community engagement, Club has sponsored a food and coat drive, and we're going to run it through next Friday. And we've already reached out to a couple of shelters to partner with so that we can get those things there ahead of the holiday season and while all of this other SNAP stuff is going on. So if you have things you as a board would like to contribute, we are going to have barrels here and at all of our locations. But Steve's team is back working hard at getting back to that 2-year mark.
Okay, I'll be looking forward to the next record he breaks. And just thank you for the rest of the board members for your care and concern for where we seem to be headed here in our country. So I appreciate that all of you are feeling that care and concern.
Well, I also want to say congratulations, Philip, and echo what Mary was saying. I appreciate, Tom, your proactiveness in bringing an agenda item tonight, and Jeremy, you and your team already being on the ball, looking at everything we can do. I think one of the tricky things with an organization like this, it's community funded. So, you know, all of our solutions are funded by dollars from the community, which is why we're diligent at, you know, every last grant dollar we can get that is money coming in from somewhere else to support this work. But I think I'm just grateful to have a team that's looking at what can we do in a responsible way to try and meet the moment, as has been said before. So appreciate everyone's participation in that discussion and all the great comments from the public as well.
Steve?
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I've exhausted my, but certainly we want to thank those of you who made presentations, particularly wasn't this your first financial, your first time presenting? Thank you so much. Excellent job. And thank you, Phil, again, congratulations on your promotion. And Steve, I think the water department is still doing a great job. So continue doing the great work. And when I look at this community impact report, I see a lot of great things that you guys are doing. And thank you for your presentation tonight. I'm still going to express how proud I am of the work that our staff does, and want to let Jeremy and all of our employees know that we need to continue to get our word out, continue to share the great things that we do. And also when we, and I think I've already shared, and I think something was put out on, maybe as was stated earlier by the young lady that was online, that we probably need to do a better job of getting our word out, getting the things that we do out, because I think a lot of the community just don't know. That's probably why there's lack of trust, because they don't know what we're doing to really ascertain that we are true to our mission. And as long as we continue to tell our story, I think the more people appreciate the water and the electricity that they receive every day, and the people that are working to make sure that that happens. Thank you.
Senator?
Thank you. I want to echo first and foremost, congratulations, Phil, and certainly
Congratulations to you.
well, and thank you for the updates. Well, I don't know, or condolences, but also the updates. Greatly appreciate the updates that we were given about our systems, especially, and how well they're running, also our financials as well. I really don't have much to say, but I will say this, that during the last couple of weeks, I've been moving around and talking to people in our community about how they feel about the utility and where we are, and the highs and the lows, and engaging discussions with so many people about what the board is doing. And there were some very forward-thinking people who want to tailor and change that. One of them, or two of them, one of them was a man named Gary Enrique Bradley Lopez. One was a lady named Lisa Walker Yeager. Another name was Chase Cook. And then there was one named Neil Palmer. And there were so many others, but they were always talking about, especially those, what they would see that we could do by way of improvement here. What's forward thinking? Where are we lacking? where our systems are good and in place, and how the reliability and the access and the safety of our utility is without equal in this region. Even our portfolio, which is enviable of renewable at 50%. But these personages and others still wanted to tweak and find ways and made commitments to how we can access better the public, how there's better interaction. And I pointed out to them and others that the lobby should be open for access, though we've made some strides. And some of them agreed. And I hope they haven't lost their nerve, and those who support them when they reach this enviable shore. Also, the rate decrease, the data centers. They're talking about what we as a board here and now forward thinking can do to be environmentally conscious, while at the same time find a way to lower these rates. It should be something that can be done. And I want to send a great shout out to Neil Palmer, to Chase Cook, and a tremendous shout out to Lisa Walker Yeager, and especially Gary Enrique Bradley Lopez, who's sitting out there today for a few more minutes, because these are real issues that make this board and our utility, as great as it is, forward thinking to live out our mission statement. Our mission statement, which I love, is to focus on the needs of our customers to improve the quality of life in our community while promoting safe, reliable, and sustainable utilities. And I appreciate all of their passion and forethought and insight, and the collective ability to not lose our nerve as we move forward, to keep that passion and make us better still. Thank you, Mr. President.
Rose, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, thank you. I wanted to just thank the finance team and the water ops team for their presentations tonight, and also thank the board and you, Mr. President, for beginning the discussion about, how we can, as a utility, try to meet, our customers with, the issues related to the displacement of federal workers and the loss of SNAP benefits. So thank the board for their support on that issue. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
I just want to, in closing as board comments, just say thank everyone who was here this evening, all the presenters, the people who called in, the public comments. They're all welcome and listened to. And I want to hope and wish everybody a great Thanksgiving. Some of us will probably get together before then, but for the others, have a happy and safe holiday season, beginning with Thanksgiving, and maybe we'll have something to be thankful for come Thanksgiving. Maybe this all go away and we'll have taken care of, but there'll always be something. But those are my comments, and so with that,
I'm sorry, I meant to mention, regrettably, I'm not available on the 20th. I'll be out of state. I meant to share with the board and those that I'll be out of state at a meeting, so I'll miss our budget, but I'll be online if that's possible. Thank you.
with that, I would entertain a motion to,
I move to adjourn.
Second.
it's been moved and seconded, we adjourn. Roll call, please.
Roll call: Parker,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Groneman,
Aye.
Haley,
Aye.
Wakes,
Aye.
Mulvaney Henry.
Aye.
That motion carries.
Mr. Ewing.